Coming in, you guys. I am out on a second walk today, here on day 23 of my Stay-Batical 250. But I don't want to talk about the Stay-Batical today. I have something much bigger I want to share that happened to me today. I have been posting lately on my stories about this mysterious bruise that popped up on my leg. On my left leg, my left calf, I have this humongous bruise. And I've been posting it the last couple of days. I noticed it a couple of days ago when I went to the chiropractor. She was like, you know, you got a big bruise on the back of your left calf, right? And I said, no. And so I looked at it and it was this really big bruise. It looked like a horse had kicked me like really, really hard. In fact, let me try to show you guys. So there is the left leg, and you can see it's a pretty big bruise. So I've had that now for the past few days. Came out of nowhere. I don't know how I did it. I don't remember any acute injury that caused it, but there it is. So I've got this huge bruise on the back of my left leg. I'm posting about it, and several of you guys said, okay, you need to go get that checked, Jimmy. It doesn't look good. Now, I'm not one to just willy-nilly go to the doctor. I'm really not. I don't like going to see mainstream doctors for all the obvious reasons. If I was in pain, yes. If it became really dark and gross and veiny and everything, yes, I would have gone. It's just a bruise. So I would have ridden it out. But because there were enough people in the medical profession that follow me that said, go get that checked out, I decided to go. So this morning, after my walk this morning, I was in the sauna, took a shower, and I went to the local ER clinic. So when I had bronchitis recently, I went there, and they do a good job. Usually I can get in there, fill out the paperwork, get seen, and out of there within like 30 to 45 minutes. They're really efficient there. I get there today. There was hardly anybody in the parking lot. And so I get in there and I proceed to wait an hour and a half before I'm even brought into a room. And then once I'm in a room, it was about an hour, a little less than an hour before the person came in to look at me. So he looked at it and he said, well, I don't think it's, and he named off cellulitis, all these things that he didn't think it was. I said, well, what do you think it is? He said, I don't know. He said, I have no idea what it is. So I've got this big ass bruise on my left calf. He has no idea what it is. I had mentioned to him that several of my medical friends on my Instagram had said, okay, it could be a blood clot. So get that checked. And so he sent off for me to go get an ultrasound on my leg to see if it's a blood clot. I just got done with that, just literally got home. I'm out on a second walk for those of you just joining me. I don't usually walk a second time, but I'm so frustrated at what happened to me today that I had to come out here, get this energy out of me, but also talk to you guys. So I went and got the ultrasound on the leg. I do not have any blood clots, so that's the good news. But I want to go back to the ER clinic for a second, because the guy that came in was not a doctor. I think he was, what's that nurse that can be a nurse practitioner. And so he came in and he kind of was like looking me up and down. And he said, well, a man your age needs to start taking better care of himself. And it's obvious with your weight problems that you're dealing with, and that you're having things like this happen with your leg, that you really need to be seeing a doctor on a regular basis. Okay. And he's like, who's your primary care physician? And I said, well, do you know one that's not an asshole? because most of them that I've had experience with are utter assholes that think they're holier than thou. And he hands me this list of doctors in the area. But like, are you guys as jaded at the mainstream medical system as I am? I don't really want them looking at me. And of course, I have access to lots of doctors with what I do. I know some of the best MDs in the world that know all about good nutrition, good healthy habits. But I was just taken aback that he basically said, you're a fat ass slob, you're lazy, just looking at me, not knowing that I'm currently on a journey to better myself, not knowing that I have massive knowledge about health and the relationship of nutrition and lifestyle and things like that. He just made the assumption, this nurse practitioner made the assumption that I was just this slob doing nothing and that I need to go see a doctor regularly because I'm going to keel over if I don't. Can I just tell you how much that pisses me off? It does. What a frustrating experience. This is why I hate going to a doctor's office. I do. I hate it with a passion. And if those 4 people that wrote to me that are in the medical profession wrote me DMs and said, go get that leg checked out, had not said that, I would not have gone today. I'm not in pain. It's not spread any more than it has. I wasn't worried about it, but they were, so that's why I went. But man, that nurse practitioner threw me for a loop. Because here I am busting my ass, doing something proactive for my health. I even told him, yeah, I was out on my 60-minute walk this morning to start the day. Didn't faze him. My blood pressure was a little bit higher too when they tested it. Of course, I had been waiting in the waiting room for an hour and a half, and they make you wear a surgical mask. I don't do well wearing a mask. They would not let me wear my unmask. I had to wear the surgical mask. And so I wonder if that played a role in why my BP was higher. Anyway, but he used that as well. You know, a man of your size and your age, you really should get that under control. And I was like, I don't have a high blood pressure issue. Yes, it's high now, snapshot in time, but I don't have BP issues normally. But it was assumed because of my size, because of my age, that I wasn't taking care of myself. That pisses me off so much. And it's any wonder that the people like me who look a certain way, no matter what your diet is, no matter how far you've come, no matter how healthy you have made yourself, if you look a certain way and you go to a mainstream medical center, they're going to judge you. And I get it. They have people come into their clinics all day long who look like you, talk like you, are your age, and because they have poor nutrition choices that show up in blood work, they just assume you're the same way. There was no blood work conducted. The only test done was to send me off to get the ultrasound, which if you joined us late, I had my left leg checked out looking for blood clots. That bad boy test cost me $600, only to find I have no blood clots, that my vascular system is great. But I guess I ruled it out, that it's not that. But the problem now is I've got this big ass bruise on my left calf, and I have no idea why it's bruised. I have no idea what's causing it to be tender to the touch. Other than touching it, it does not hurt. I've been out here every day on this trail. Today now twice on this trail. I need to get out this energy. And it does not hurt to walk on. He did a few tests where he like bent my ankle, bent my knee, pushed here, pushed there. The only time it hurt was when he pushed directly on the bruise. And I got to thinking, how did I get a bruise there? He got to thinking, he's like, well, did you fly to Orlando for that conference you went to? No, I drove. Oh, well, maybe you were sitting in the car too long. I'm like, no, my bladder does not let that happen. So I stop every hour or so along the way. And then I thought, at the conference, did I do a biohack that maybe squeezed that leg? I don't know. Like, I'm still just trying to figure it out because he didn't know. The good news is it's not blood clots, and it wasn't anything obvious to him. He said if you had cellulitis or some other kind of issue like that, there would be streaks next to the bruise. And he's asked me to take a look at it and keep an eye on it to make sure no streaks or any abnormalities start to form. If they do, I have to go back in, but for now it's a mystery. But that aside, the way I was treated as a patient is appalling. Here we are in 2021, every group of people that is disenfranchised, from minority groups to women to everybody. Everybody seems to have their little pet group that they're a part of. And it's great that you highlight those. But here we are. Big people still get discriminated so much. And like, I'm a super educated big person. I'm somebody that knows a lot about the stuff. And it pisses me off because how many other people get exposed to that look like me, that aren't necessarily on a health journey, but maybe they try to take good care of themselves. And all they get is blame, shame, finger pointing. Like, that shit's got to stop. It's discrimination at the highest degree. And I don't know how you stop it other than call it out, which is why, other than me walking to get this nervous energy out of me, I wanted to go live with you guys today. Do you experience this? Have you experienced this? I think anybody that has a certain look, a certain age, they're going to assume because of your look, because of your age, that you're highly diseased. And I take great offense to that. I take a lot of pride in how healthy I am despite my weight, and how healthy I am despite my age turning 50 in a few months. I take a lot of pride in that because my family history, between my dad and my brother and other family members, my family history is I'm supposed to have a heart attack and I'm supposed to possibly die of cardiovascular issues. That's what the family history shows. And so I guess they look at that kind of thing as well to come to their conclusion, but there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way. But I want to see what you guys have to say about this. Thank you for being here. This is an impromptu. Those of you that watch me on my morning walk, it's somewhere around 7:15 in the morning that I'm out on this trail and doing this same walk in the morning. This morning it was like 52, 53 degrees. Right now it's about 72. Still very comfortable to walk in. And I usually am giving you updates on my Stay-Batical to 50, my 100-day journey to getting healthier. But today I needed to do this second walk. And look, I have spent so much time at that ER clinic and then having to go to do that ultrasound all the way across the other side of town, and then it is an hour and a half to wait there, and then drive all the way back. I've only done 2 of my biohacks today, so when I get home, I've got a ton of biohacks I still need to do. I'll get them all done, but this has really messed up my day from a scheduling standpoint, but it also kind of messed me up mentally. I mean, I'm going to be okay, don't worry about that, but these kinds of things, doctors have to be better, and this nurse practitioner, any clinician working directly with patients, I know he thinks he was being helpful. Here I am, looking the way I do, no context for where I am now from where I was, no context of who I am, just judgment. And I think that's wrong. Wrong in the worst way. But let's see what you guys have to say. Get her done. That is what I'm trying to do, Teresa. Get her done. Just got here. What happened, Carolyn? So yes, by now you've heard the story. I was basically called out by a nurse practitioner, assumed that I was highly unhealthy because of my weight, because of how I looked, because of my age. I had slightly elevated blood pressure, which, again, I had to wear a mask for an hour and a half, and they don't let you pull it down to breathe. So I can't imagine that did not have an impact on my blood pressure, because I don't do well with a mask, as I've told you guys before. And so I'm having to wear this surgical mask. And then they bring me in there and test my vitals after I've been wearing a oxygen depriver for the last hour and a half before that. I don't do well with the mask. Crikey, yes. Yes, Alyssa, it is true. And I know you hear clients of yours all the time, Alyssa, who probably tell you some of those nightmare stories that they go through. And it's unfortunate that we have to be subjected to that. But we do. I'm absolutely jaded. You and me both. Carolyn says, that sucks. I'm overweight and never been talked to like that. Yeah, here's the funny thing. I've been much bigger. I've been much more unhealthy. And then to be told, well, you need to go see a regular doctor on a regular basis because men of your size and age don't do well. Damn. Really, dude? Damn. It was all I could do to contain myself. I did. I contained myself, but everything within me just wanted to scream at him that you don't know what the hell you're talking about. You don't know me. You don't know my story. You don't know what I've been through up to now. You don't know what I'm going through right now to actively work on it. They don't. They have no context whatsoever. Can you imagine someone who is less mentally strong than Jimmy Moore hearing all that stuff, doing all the things I'm doing, and then hearing that from a medical professional basically saying what you're doing doesn't matter? Doesn't matter. Has no bearing. How discouraging would that be? It'd be very discouraging. As mad as I am, cognizant that it's bullshit what I heard, can you imagine how upsetting that would be for someone who does not have the knowledge or the mental fortitude to deal with that? I don't want to think about it. You didn't deserve that. Thank you, Kelly. It was shocking, to say the least, when he said, do you have a primary care physician? And I was like, I can't find a good one. And then he makes the snide comment of, you of all people, between how you look and your age, need a doctor so you don't die sooner than you would. And I'm going, Thank you. Like, I didn't know what to say. It was so weird. Anyway, my doctor made me ill. I have absolutely no faith in the mainstream medical system. Look, my doctor that I did have, I fired him 6 years ago. But my doctor refused to run fasting insulin. And it was at a time when I was trying to get a handle on my insulin resistance, and I wanted to keep track of fasting insulin as a marker of how that's doing. And he refused to run it. He's like, well, you don't have diabetes, so there's no ICD code for that. Okay, if insurance won't pay for it, I'll pay for it out of pocket. It's $50 for an insulin test. He still refused. I was like, wow, you won't even run a test that I'm willing to pay full price for without help from insurance. At that point, what good is the doctor? So I'm very jaded by doctors as well. And I know if I go see one of these doctors on this list this guy gave me, that I'm going to go into the pharmacological aspect of things. And like I said earlier, I'm very fortunate that I'm in a position. I know a lot of medical doctors that understand nutrition. I know a lot of functional medicine doctors. I got peoples, let's just put it that way. So I don't need necessarily to have a primary care physician. It's just they run you in, they run you out. Well, they could keep up with stuff as it pops up. Well, if things pop up, I've got medical friends that I can turn to. I know not everybody has that, but I do. And so, and I have. My right leg about 4 or 5 months ago developed this thing called pseudonoma. And I sent it to several of my doctor friends. A couple of them nailed what it was. A few others were like, well, it could be this, this, or this. But like, it's cool to have those people at my fingertips that can help me. And then they helped me after I got the pseudonoma diagnosis. They wanted to put me on certain drugs and things. And the doctors that I talked to said, take this drug, but not this one. You can just do this, this, and this supplement wise, and it'll heal better. And it did. In fact, I did a 18-day fast to help clear that one up. So if you came in really late, I am going live in the afternoon. I usually go live only in the mornings on this walk. But today I had quite the frustrating experience at the emergency clinic. My left leg has had this ginormous bruise. If you've been reading my stories, watching my stories lately, it's had this ginormous bruise for the last 2 days. And I posted it a couple of times, and several medical friends that follow me said, go get that checked out. So I did. And when I did, the clinician basically said, you're fat, you're old, you need to get your act together. Not knowing that I'm actively doing a journey right now, doing exactly that. So it made me quite jaded. The good news is we did send off for the MRI, ultrasound of my left leg, and no blood clots, so it's nothing serious that we know of. So that's the good news in all this. But this story of this clinician it's biting me hard. What a jerk. Yes, I agree. It's so awful. Sorry, my friend. This is just awful. Yeah. But look, Alyssa, this is the kind of thing. I know it's rare. I know not all doctors are like this. I get it. But this one was. This nurse practitioner was. And when I see stuff like this firsthand, I feel for people that do think that they're doing all the right things. And they are pursuing health. And they have gotten their diet under control. And they are being proactive at doing all kinds of things. And yet they're judged anyway. Like, how is that fair? How is that going to be psychologically good in any way? I'm trying to think from a psychological standpoint. What good did he think he was doing for me by telling me those things? Was it supposed to shame me into change? I don't know. I don't know what his issue was. All right, I'm going to turn around today here at Caldwell Drive. I usually go a little further, but I'm just letting off steam today. I already got my one walk in. If nothing else, I'm getting in a second walk. I'm in a fully fasted state since 8:45 this morning. I'm full of energy. I think I'm doing all right. I think that emergency clinic nurse practitioner doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about, because he doesn't know me. He doesn't know anybody that comes in. All we are is numbers on a piece of paper. Here's how much you weigh. Here's how old you are. Here's what you came in for. That's what they know. They don't know that you're on a journey. They don't know that you're working your ass off. They don't know that you're in a whole heck of a lot better place now than you were in the past. What if I once weighed 700 pounds? And he said those things today. Think about that. You have no idea from whence people came. This is why in the midst of a journey, I always tell people, if someone is pursuing health and pursuing making themselves better in their health, you encourage them. You give them uplifting words. Earlier today, I had a guy on my page from my live this morning. He left a comment. How much do you weigh? How much weight have you lost? And I've explained many times on my journey, I'm not worried about that. That's not my goal. And he said, well, if you're not weighing, you won't succeed. You should just quit now if you're not going to weigh. And it's like, why? Why put somebody who's actively doing something good through that kind of heartache and pain? Why? Why make them fit your mold of what you think they should be doing? It's their journey. They choose to do what they're going to do. And your role is to shut the fuck up. Sorry to be so profane, but not. I'm not sorry. I think these people need to understand how they come across. Then he slips in my DMs. Well, I just think you need some tough love. You need to get your act together and blah, blah, blah. And this isn't the first time this guy's done this. He's done it over the years. And he's not purposely ugly. I think there's a little bit of a cultural difference. His English isn't great, so maybe it comes across harsher than he means, which is why I've never blocked him yet. But I tried to explain, you need to be kinder, more compassionate in your language and not so judgmental. Well, I wasn't trying to be judgmental. Okay, you weren't trying, but you did. And so, fix it. And he was cool at the end. He's like, my daughter and I are cheering you on. We love what you're doing. Blah, blah, blah. But the way it came across was very judgmental. You should have gave him one of your books. It says, Lana. I guess at that point, I don't think there's anything I could have done that would have changed his perception of who I was in his mind. I could have given him the Keto Clarity book or the Complete Guide to Fasting book. It wouldn't have fazed him about what he thought of me. I did mention at the end when he was talking about the doctor and keep an eye on things. I said, well, as a matter of fact, I'm a health podcaster for a living. I interview all the best experts in the world on this stuff. So he got a little bit at the end. I wasn't ugly, but I was shocked, to say the least. Carolyn says when my daughter had the Black Plague, we waited 8 hours in the ER. Yeah, I've heard about those stories. That's only going to get worse as staffing issues make it harder for them to see patients. So I'm not sure what the issue was at this clinic. I've literally always gotten in and out of this clinic very quickly. It's close to my house. It's just like a little neighborhood ER kind of clinic. And I've always gotten in and out. So I don't know what happened this time. You could teach him a thing or two. Well, if he would be willing to hear, Teresa, I think the fact that he was so dug in his heels of what he thought of me and the characterization of me, who's to say I wasn't a medical doctor myself? Who's to say I didn't have more knowledge than he did as a nurse practitioner? A lot of assumptions going on. But that happens from time to time. Bright Blur said he would probably recommend eating a bunch of grains to fix it. Probably. Again, medical people don't have a lot of knowledge when it comes to nutrition. And so, who knows what would have come out of his mouth. I assume you mean the obesity. Fixing the obesity by eating whole grains. No, my carnivore diet with fasting and regular walks is doing the trick. So, all right. I think that's the last big intersection. I've got a couple of squirrely intersections here. I have to really pay attention or I'll get run over. Bulletproof coconut. Once a doctor told me to see a nutritionist. Coincidentally, right when I began a journey that led to my weight loss. I share in your frustration. Tell them to mind their own business. Look, it's hard in the moment when you hear that stuff. It's so shocking. You really don't even know what to say. Because I knew what he was insinuating. The insinuation was, you're a little fatty. The insinuation was, you're getting older, bub. You might as well get used to being sick and used to having issues. And I take great offense to that. Because when I get healthier from what I'm doing now, and when a lot of things start to improve with that, and I go back in that same clinic, would there be the same judgment? Because the look would be gone. I would still have the age, but I would be looking healthier. It would be interesting if at the end of all this, and I'm down quite a bit in weight, body composition, stronger, all the things, go back in there and see what he would have to say. But honestly, I don't care. At this point, I know who I am. Individuals doing a journey, you should know who you are as well. Don't ever let a medical professional tell you you're not doing great in the midst of your journey, if you're on a journey, and then they say something like what I had said to me today. They don't know your journey. Just remind yourself of that. Lana says, you really help people. He doesn't have an idea who you are. Well, and again, it goes back to that, making a judgment sight unseen, just looking at me, making a judgment. Again, how did he know I wasn't a medical doctor? How did he know I didn't understand what was going on? You know? Who knows? Jane says, very true. I try very hard not to make judgments like that. Look, I realize when someone works in a medical facility, as a nurse, as a doctor, whatever, it's very tempting in your mind when you see patient, obese, certain age, dealing with a chronic disease. Patient, obese, certain age, dealing with a chronic disease. On and on and on all day long. And then along comes another patient that is patient, obese of a certain age, you just assume they're going to fit the mold of all those other patients you've already seen, not knowing that the latest patient eats well, exercises, does biohacking, takes care of themselves, but because they look the part, because they fit the mold, the judgment comes. So I can see the why. And in their mind, they're trying to save the next one. Wow, you're not too bad today, but it could be worse the next time. I can see that making some of the medical professionals jaded and wanting to say something to the latest patient because of all the prior patients. I get it. The problem is that's bad medicine. We're all individuals, and it's not predicated on weight, on age. Look at the patient for who they are. Ask them questions about what they do. Not once did he ask, do you exercise? Not once did he ask, did you used to weigh more? Not once did he ask, do you take any medications? Not once did he ask, do you eat well? None of those questions came up. Just the judgment. And that shit's got to stop. Those doctors are a major cause of this country's health problems. Their advice isn't worth a penny. Look, I love what doctors do well, mainstream doctors. They do well with acute injuries and sicknesses that come up. So when I had bronchitis like a month and a half ago, I went to see them and they got me on all the things to take care of that bronchitis. I was grateful for that. I've also broken my wrist before, and they know how to set that, put a cast on it, and put you back together again. They're very good at those things. What they're not good at is chronic health issues that are all related to insulin resistance, heart disease, diabetes, obesity, PCOS, so forth and so on. They're not good at those things because they don't know anything about nutrition. And so when you get lectured by a nurse practitioner that says you really need to find you a doctor because you're just inevitably going to be sick for the rest of your life, that's offensive. It really is. People have this bad habit to judge. They do. But look, they need to be teaching ethics in medical school. I know I've been to a lot of the conferences with a bunch of medical doctors and nurses. I've been to these conferences, obesity conferences, and one of the big topics that came up quite a bit is how do you talk to patients? And I would sit in on those conversations that the doctors would have with one another, and then I'd get up to ask a question as like the only layperson in there and expressing some of my concerns. And you could tell a lot of them were shocked that there were doctors that spoke to patients in certain ways. Others of them felt convicted because they themselves had spoken that way, calling them obese, saying that they need to get their act together, kind of like what this nurse practitioner did here today. So it's a real thing. Could it be hematoma? See, they didn't even bring up that one. Who knows? Who knows what it is? In a way, I wish it was a horse that had kicked me in the middle of the night and I just didn't know it. That's what it looks like, is a big old bruise on the back of my leg. Sorry you had to go through that. Thank you. Look, I think we all go through certain things, and it's why I'm always encouraging in my work, you guys. I'm always trying to encourage the person that's doing all the right things, that's putting themselves out there, putting in the work, trying hard to move that needle. And I'm not just talking weight loss. I'm just talking about proving to yourself you're worth it. You're doing a thing. You're doing it for yourself now. You're doing it for your future self. And I'm always trying to uplift people because the discouragement is real and you don't expect it from the medical profession. You just don't. You don't expect these people that you entrust with your health to say these kinds of things to you. They're supposed to be your confidants. They're supposed to be the ones going along with you on the journey. And if they're discouraging you, I think it's a dereliction of their duty. I think it's a dereliction of first do no harm. If you ask me, first do no harm is not just about physical harm. What about emotional and psychological harm? When you tell a 49-year-old man who weighs a certain amount that he's going to be sick the rest of his life, so you better go find you a doctor so you don't die early. That is psychological harm. Now, not to me. I'm immune to that shit now, so you guys know me well enough. But I'm always speaking for people that look like me, that are me, just without the platform. I'm always trying to speak for you guys. A lot of you guys watching right now, you know I speak up for you. And I speak up for you because you're the kind of one that if you heard that from a medical professional like I did today, you would crumble, you would fall, you would run to the store and get every comfort food you could find, and you would gorge yourself because, well, if all the work I'm putting in doesn't even get the attention of a medical professional, then why the hell am I doing this? If I go to my dying grave trying to encourage and uplift people that are in that position, that's my mission in life. And I proudly take on that mantle because nobody else is encouraging this group of people, the most highly discriminated group of people in the world. No matter if you got there because you ate crap and you're still eating crap, or you got there from eating crap, but then you changed your ways and you're starting to get better, you're going to be judged based on how you look right now. Which is why I get on camera every day, by the way. It's not an accident. And I get the boo birds out there in the comment section of, well, what's a fatty telling us about health for? I see those comments. I know what's out there. But I'm also showing in real time that with all of that, you can overcome it. With all of that, you can show them that you can work on yourself and that you will work on yourself, no matter what the obstacles. That's what drives me daily to keep doing what I'm doing, to be that example for you guys, but then to show you as well, not just the example of doing it, but show you how you get through it and how you overcome those obstacles. Discrimination of fat people is perhaps the biggest form of discrimination we face. I think it's the only acceptable form. I'm trying to think, is there any other, maybe discrimination against Christians maybe is similar, but yeah, definitely fat people. It's just assumed if you're fat, you're a glutton, that you overeat. I just got a nasty gram the other day in my emails all about that, of, well, this plan you're doing, this sabbatical plan you're doing, it's all well and good, but you're not fixing your problem is overeating and blah, 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 blah. And so they're just going to assume you're overeating because you're fat. You might have in the past, but who's to say you're not anymore? And then you flip people to the opposite side where they undereat, eating like 1,200 calories, and then they're still not losing weight because the body goes into freak out mode when you go hyper low on the calories. That's not healthy either, and that's not productive. Oh, I love that sunshine coming through the trees like that. Oh, got like a little, I'm not that innocent, not angelic. Most doctors are not like that. He's one bad apple. Yeah, Carolyn, I know that. I honestly do know that. But The fact is, he was my practitioner today, and he said that shit to me. So, if nothing else, I'm able to come on to Instagram Live and express that that's not cool. So, I just hate that it happens to other people that aren't as mentally strong as I am, and it would make them crumble. That's what makes me upset about it. David says, I hope the leg thing resolves soon. Thank you. I am going to keep a very close eye on it. If it gets worse, obviously I will go back to the doctor. But hopefully it just gets better. Like I said, the main thing is it does not hurt unless you press right on the bruise. Then it hurts. But walking, there's no pain whatsoever walking. So I enjoy it. I think somebody's dirt bike riding adjacent to here. Yeah. You sowing your wild oats? Get it out of your system, brother. Sorry I missed what happened, but great to see you carrying on. Thank you, Healthy Mission. In a nutshell, I went to see a doctor today. I thought I was going to see a doctor. I saw a nurse practitioner for this bruise on my left leg. And wow, that is annoying. And he proceeded to tell me I'm fat and old and gonna die soon if I don't get a doctor to look over me voraciously. So that's the nuts and bolts of it. Did you get into your journey with him? Dawn, there wasn't a whole lot of time. I did say, when he mentioned the higher blood pressure, I said, well, I am on the midst of this transformation journey. He kind of rolled his eyes at me when I said that, almost in disbelief. Yeah, sure you are. So I don't think he was ugly per se in his demeanor. It was just the way things came out that was problematic. And so I don't think there was anything I could have said that would have changed his perception of me that he had painted in his mind. That blood pressure reading in that setting is nonsense. Well, with me wearing a mask for an hour and a half, and I already don't do well wearing a mask, I'm sure that's what had my blood pressure through the roof. Because I told them I don't have blood pressure issues. And they tested it 3 times. It was bad. I want to say it was like 155 over 105. But it's never that bad. It's always like 135 over 80. So I don't know why it was, other than the mask. I don't know why I had issues today. Did you let him know? It was such a short visit, coming in and out, and they were very busy. No, I didn't. But like I said, I don't think there was anything I could have said that would have changed his mind about me. And that's on him. Ashley says, your journey is inspiring. Thank you. Trying to inspire myself, motivate myself, and bringing you guys along for the journey. A lot of you guys have said that I have inspired you to start your own journey. I will tell you this, that I'm inviting you guys in. Once I hit the 50-day mark on my sabbatical to 50, I will be inviting you to join me for your own version of a challenge for the second 50 days. I'll keep doing all my things, but then you start and I'll support you along the way. So that's coming up here in about a month from now. So be ready for that. Hello. Brandy says, I tried to tell my doctor about past lab results. She said the past didn't matter. Brandy, I think about people like you who I know has had dramatic changes in your biomarkers. You still have weight on the body, like me. And so people will judge you, not knowing that you're smaller than you were, not knowing that metabolically you're healthier than you were. None of that matters when you're judged by a moment in time. And I hate that that happened to you. And I wish I could say I'm surprised, but I'm not. Not at all. People are really out of it, truly. They are, Brandy. And it's unfortunate. I wish they could somehow live in my skin for just a moment and understand the uniqueness of the challenge of doing all these things and it not moving the needle quicker than it does. Look, to me, all these things are worth it. I talk about health, and it's better if I talk about health from a first-hand standpoint, having a success. And look, I'm still a success. Even before this journey, I'm still a success. I'm not a sugar addict anymore. I don't weigh 410 pounds anymore. I'm not taking prescription drugs anymore. All of that happened 17 years ago. I don't need to do this right now to show that I'm a success. I've already done that. What I'm doing now is proving to myself that I can buck the trend that tells me I'm supposed to be fat and sick the rest of my life, like this nurse practitioner claimed. I'm trying to buck that. And I am bucking that. That's the good part. Shelby said, let me tell you, I had this experience on the opposite end, being underweight. People assume I had an eating disorder when I was literally dying from autoimmune. Yes. Thank you for sharing that, Shelby. My friend Rebekah Farmer, she's tailored keto health here on Instagram. She had the same thing 2 years ago. She weighed in the 60s as an adult woman. Her weight was like 65, I believe. And she switched over to a carnivore diet. She had all kinds of autoimmune conditions, Lyme disease, C. diff. She had all kinds of stuff going on. Switched over to a animal-based diet, exercise, and now she's like 130, 135, muscular, and normal weight for her size, for her age and everything. So it can be done, but yes, you will get that assumption. And she had that happen to her, Shelby, where she was checked into an eating disorder clinic. And she's like, no, I don't have trouble eating. I have trouble with all these diseases not letting me keep weight on the body. She was dying 2 years ago. Go look her up, Tailored Keto Health, here on Instagram. Very inspiring. She's a really good friend of mine now. I think you'll like it. David said, doctors kill 100,000 people a year by accident. Not sure how many they kill by their advice. Yes. Yeah, doctor error, I believe, is the fourth leading cause of death in America. You don't hear them talk about that too much. You hear about the heart disease and cancer, but you don't hear about doctor error, medical malpractice. That's why they all carry medical malpractice lawsuit insurance, so they can protect themselves from going bankrupt for their mistakes. Ashley says, my doctor wanted to put me on statins because I'm carnivore. WTF, some medical professionals are jokes. Well, and if it's simply because of your dietary choices and not because of some biomarker, that's irresponsible. That's highly irresponsible. Why would they do that based on how you eat? How you eat is irrelevant to the treatment with a statin. Statins, they don't offset animal-based foods, whatever that is. Kind of weird. Sina says, I got a Dear John letter from my doctor after I paid him. Little did he know I then dropped his ass. Good for you. Yes. Doctors don't know just how subliminal something they would say would impact the people they're supposed to be taking care of. It's unfortunate. Shelby says people just need to stop assuming things about other people's bodies, period. Amen. Like, I hear you. I think doctors feel like they have that right because you came to see them about a physical ailment, ostensibly. Then they feel like they have the right to tell you about your physical body. I think that's the thinking here of why they're so adamant about saying something. Are you still friends with Dr. Nally? Says Chris. I know Dr. Nally. He's one of my doctor friends that I have called on in the past. And not just him. It's Dr. Westman, Dr. Lemansky. Like I said, I got a ton of doctors that I can call on. I'm gonna get the ice bath ready. I'm so far behind on my biohacks today that I'm having to play catch up here at the end of the day. So, quote, fat equals bruising, like Focus Dude. Yes, exactly. It was funny that, the assumption was, oh, you bruise because you're a big boy. Look, I don't bruise. That's the funny part. I think the assumption was because I bruised, it was because I was fat. Because again, a lot of people that come into their clinic look like me, age of me, and they're bruised and they're highly inflamed. So I can see why they kind of put that onus on it. But I'm not them. What a rude, insensitive person that was, says Linda. Yeah, and here's the funny part. I don't even think he meant to come across as rude and insensitive. That's the amazing part. I think it's just these guys are in that all day long, and they just see the same kind of patients over and over and over again. And so they make the assumptions because they see it all day. And quite frankly, most people are probably not eating very healthy and probably not doing the right things. And they're definitely not going to get out in the grass in their backyard and get in some grounding / sunshine like Jimmy Moore is about to do. They're just not doing those things. And so if they're not doing those things, the assumption is they're unhealthy. And like I said, most people probably are unhealthy. But then they put you in that box, which is truly unfortunate. Proud of you, thank you. Yes, because standing on a scale makes you lose weight. Yes, I did have to get on the scale there, and I saw the number. I don't really care about my number, but it's down from where I started 23 days ago, if that's any solace. I knew it would be, but and that was with all my clothes on and all the pockets full. So I was pretty cool with that. Not really worried about the weight. The weight loss will come the longer I do this. Thank you, James, for the badge. You guys, if you want to support my work, there is this nice little thing on Instagram Lives that you can click on the badge. Just click on that below, and it lets you support the people that are providing information. Hopefully this was interesting enough for you guys today. Glad you're sticking around. Don't understand why you would measure that isn't part of your goal. Yes, exactly. It's not. It's not. You definitely help the next guy by saying that. Yeah? At least kind of make him think. That's my goal. Always. Don't let him take any part of you today. Well, he did a little bit. But it let me get a second walk in, so I guess it wasn't all bad. I feel good too after that second walk. It's just it's past 5 o'clock now, and I have a crap load of biohacks to get done still, including the ice bath, which usually goes an hour. So I might get to bed a little bit later than I normally do tonight, but I'm going to get all this stuff in. I assure you, I will get all this stuff in. He's just mad because he's not a real doc, says Carolyn. Well, I know a lot of nurse practitioners, they love their job, so it is what it is. As if the doctor is who is going to heal you. Yes, exactly, Dawn. Sorry, I'm standing in the sun now, so it's getting harder to see the comments. Gosh, I can't believe that happened. How horrible. Thank you, Belly. I'm sure your blood pressure went up after that convo. I was thinking the same thing. And during that ultrasound, really sweet young girl, good looking young girl too, was doing it. And she's like, well, I have to start like at your groin area and go all the way down the vascular vein down to where the bruise is. And so I was like, okay. So then she got in the upper part and had to press down hard. And oh my God, like I'm already ticklish, but then she started pressing down with that thing. And I was like, ugh. So, but she was very nice. She's very professional with what she did. And so she got it done. You were probably anxious. You should have done some breathing exercises to stimulate the parasympathetic. Yeah, Sergio. Like, look, you're in a doctor's office. You're going to be anxious, even if you do engage your parasympathetic. Like at that point, it was, yeah. I'd waited so long. I had my face muzzled for an hour and a half at that point. I don't know if it would have been any better, even if I had done some deep breathing. And plus, doing the deep breathing exercises with the mask on, like they were real anal retentive about not taking the mask off. So you represent all of us. Give us hope and inspiration. Thank you, Carolyn. Give us a house tour. No, not today. I have done my property before. I will turn it around so you can see my Taj Mahal, some of my chickens. But yeah, this is my home sweet home. And then there's my house. All right. I think I'm back. Nope, I can't see. I can't see. All right, now I'm back. Okay. I was like, wait a minute. Good as always, says Marty. Thank you, Marty. And Marty, you know, you've got clients that you see in your work. And I'm sure they've had to deal with this kind of thing that I talked about here today. It's unfortunate. But it's a reality of life. And if my frustrating experience at an emergency clinic can inspire someone else to not give up if they hear that kind of thing in their own life, then I feel like this live today was worth it. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to finish up my grounding session and get all the rest of these biohacks done. But thank you for being here. I will be back on tomorrow morning. So if you're up bright and early, East Coast time, right around 7:15 in the morning, I go live. If you missed the live, you can watch it on the replay on IGTV, Facebook, and YouTube. So go check it out, guys. Thank you guys for being here. Love you all, and we'll see you again soon. Bye, everyone.